Five Nights at Freddy's fan games usually follow a pretty stereotypical formula, with each of them being a sort of point-and-click survival game. However, within GameJolt, there are a few games that stick out. You have things like the Joy of Creation, Juniors, Tealerland, and Postshift that are all massively popular for varying reasons. The biggest reason that these games took off is because of how much they drift from the tried and true Five Nights formula. I noticed this and asked myself, what are some things that the mainline games refuse to touch? And after a while, I found my answer. Guns. Now, I know you're probably confused on why I'm starting with Bubba's Diner of all games, but just listen to me for a little bit. It'll get good, I promise. Anyways, Bubba's Diner is a pretty standard fan game that was made by Freaky Games. Night 1 starts off with the player entering the diner and receiving a phone call. The phone call basically boils down to, welcome to Bubba's Diner, here's the layout, now go to your job. After you go to your office and listen to the phone guy for a little bit, you can start your night. The phone guide tells you to test the animatronics because they're programmed to go where noise is, so you have to use the sound displays to lure them to different cameras. There are two active threats on this night, Bubba and Pork Patch. Fortunately for you though, they're both affected by the same mechanic, the audio lure. The first night's pretty easy, with there only being one task. Now, on to night 2. Night 2 starts off with another phone call, but this one's kind of a nothing burger to be honest. It basically just repeats what was said the first night. Gameplay wise, there's another office segment, so you'll have to repeat what you just did, again. After that though, you go to the bathroom for another minigame. This night is really awkward because you just kind of have a staring contest with Bubba. Like, you do your task for a bit, and then you stare at Bubba, and then you go back to your task, and you have to do that for a few minutes. Anyways, after you finish your minigame, you go home and read a newspaper about how the body of a dead employee was found inside one of the animatronics. Sound familiar? Anyways, the third night makes you do the same tasks as the first and second night, but with a third, more sinister one added on. You have to go to the second party room with Mr. Giggles. During the second party room minigame, Mr. Giggles is found sitting on a stage and the player has 2 minutes to use 9 voice commands. Every time you use a voice command, he has a chance to get closer to you. If you use a voice command while Mr. Giggles is sitting forward, he will jump scare you. After you cycle through all the voice lines, you can finish the night and go home. The fourth night is pretty unique compared to the other ones because you actually get a choice on what you want to do. Well, after your main tasks, but anyways. Your tasks for this night is the bathroom and the first party room. First party room's minigame involves sweeping the floor and Smiley the rabbit. While you sweep the floor, there's a chance that Smiley will start peeking through the stage curtains. If he does that, just shine your flashlight on him for a little bit. That's all there really is to that minigame, it's really simple. There is something else you can do this night. You can go to the basement and face against Bub Trap. That's right, there is an actual, genuine character in this game named Bub Trap. Anyways, once you get to the basement and see Bub Trap, he'll begin to move around and you have to listen to where he goes. After you find where he went, just shine your flashlight on him. You'll have to do this for a bit until you get the prompt to leave the basement. Now for the fifth night, and oh wow, this is where things get crazy. You go into the basement again, but whenever Bub Trap starts moving, he knocks a shotgun off of the shelf. And I need to show this cutscene. I cannot describe how insane it is.
You won't get away this time.
So, yeah, The protagonist grabs the shotgun and shoots every single animatronic. The really funny thing about this ending is that it comes out of fucking nowhere. There is no foreshadowing in this game that you will shoot the animatronics. Like, seriously, the protagonist just grabs the gun and decides that the best course of action is to shoot anything in sight. There's actually another FNaF game where this happens, and, wow. The game I'm talking about is Those Nights at Rachel's 2 Reloaded. Those Nights at Rachel's 2 is a game that I can only really describe as terrifying. Now, I can't really put into words how immersive this game is, so I'm gonna let the gameplay speak for itself. Yeah, if you couldn't tell, this game was an April Fool's joke. I think that Those Nights at Rachel's 2 is quite possibly the funniest way to send off a series. It probably did suck for people who are big fans of the games, though. The Fazbear Armageddon is an ultra-kill-styled FPS game where your main goal is to escape the Fazbear Entertainment Factory. This game was made for the 2022 Freddy Game Jam, which lasted from June 7th to August 7th by Wheat. The theme for the Freddy Game Jam was non-horror. There are two main weapons in this game. You have your ranged weapon, which acts exactly as you think it would. If you left-click, it shoots a single bullet at a time, but if you right-click, it shoots a few bullets with a really long cooldown afterwards. Your melee weapon is kind of the worst, if I'm being completely honest. It has a small hitbox and does the same damage as a single bullet. I tried to do a melee-only run of the game, and the final boss took me around like 15 minutes to beat. The movement in this game feels incredible, though. It feels pretty similar to Ultra Kill, and if you've played Ultra Kill, you know what I'm talking about. You have 3 jumps, a charge jump, and a slide. If you jump while you do a slide, you get a ton of momentum. It's actually kind of insane. Now, the Fazbear Armageddon is quite a short game. It only has 4 levels. And for reference, it only took me around 15 minutes total to beat this game on my first playthrough. Each level has around like 3 to 4 areas that you need to get through before you get to the final boss of each level. Before I start talking about what types of enemies are in the game though, I feel like I should mention the difficulty levels. There's Painless mode where you have 200 health, Casual where you have 100 health, Moderate where you have 50 health, Experienced where you have 25 health, and finally, Nightmare mode where you have 5 health. And most enemies in this game do 5 damage per hit. That means if you get hit a single time in Nightmare mode, your run is over. The first animatronic that you see is Endo 01, which acts as the standard fodder enemy. They usually spawn in groups of 3 to 4 and they'll try to jump at you. The second is Endo 02, which will shoot a red laser at you from a distance. You can actually make them hit each other, which is really funny. The only other standard enemy in the game is the Golden Freddy head, which will charge at you and has the most health out of any standard enemy. I'm also pretty sure that they were based off of Morris from Ultra Kill. Now, onto the bosses. You have the Golden Apparition, which is just the Golden Freddy head with more health. And then there's also the Red Bear twins, which are a hue-shifted version of the Golden Freddy head, but twice! Now, I do think the final boss is a lot better than the other two, just because of how unique it is. Yeah, the final boss of this game is Mangle, who is named the Plastic Leviathan. You fight them inside of a ball pit and they attack you with their arms, which are hidden under the ball pit. They have a ton of health though, so beating them can take a while. It's also probably a lot easier if you're not doing a melee only run, so... Their attack patterns are really predictable though, so they're very easy to dodge. And when you beat them, the game finishes. After release, the developer made a poll on GameJolt asking people what other weapons they'd want to see added into the game. This poll was 2 years ago, so I really doubt anything else would happen. And that kinda sucks. I think that this game has some of the most potential that I've ever seen in a fan game. First-person shooters and FNaF games should be genres that never cross, but I think that these games had a very fun take on it. Even if they were of varying quality, I do really think that you should try out all of these, especially the Fazbear Armageddon. I'd love to see more games like these that just drift from the standard formula. I think it's great. And that's all I really have to say on this, so I'm gonna head out. See ya!